Hey guys, Mr. Tweet here. So today I want to talk to you guys about consumer surplus and producer surplus. So if we go back to our econ graph, right, and there we are at equilibrium, supply in the sky, demand in the dirt, and we're at our equilibrium, we could label on this graph where our consumer surplus and producer surplus are. So again, our consumer surplus and our producer surplus, consumer surplus is above that price line, below my demand curve, right? Because it's the difference between what people would be willing to pay, that's what demand is, and what they actually pay, what the price is, right? So what this model shows us is that you know, we have our supply curve is made up of lots of different people, and some of them are only willing to sell at a really high price, but they're not willing to sell if the price is any lower. But there's some people who are willing to sell even if the price was lower, right? And so they're super happy to be selling at the equilibrium price. Everybody buys and sells at the equilibrium. So they're super happy to be selling at that price. So the difference between what they were willing to sell for and what they actually sell for, that's our producer surplus. And on the demand side, it's the same thing, right? That, if whatever this thing is, everybody pays the equilibrium price, but there's some people who are willing to pay a lot more. Now, there's some people who'd be willing to buy this thing, but they don't want to pay very much for it. So they don't get it, right? Because they're not willing to pay the equilibrium. But everybody who's willing to pay the equilibrium or more, they all get to buy it at the equilibrium price, right? And consumer surplus is the difference between what they were willing to pay and what they actually pay. This whole triangle together, this whole thing, that's all total surplus. So what's the point of all of this? Well, we can use total surplus as economists to identify the merits of a market-based choice. So if we're going to make some sort of decision and we're going to, we want to know whether it's a good choice or not, total surplus can help us to figure that out. That if the total surplus goes up, then we know we would say that's probably a good choice if it's going to increase the total surplus. Maybe more of it goes to consumers, maybe more of it goes to producers. But if total surplus is going up, then it's probably good for society. And if total surplus is going down, then it's probably bad for society. And so we could use total surplus, for instance, to analyze what happens if we have, let's say somebody wants to produce something that has harmful side effects for others, and then we want to decide to do something about it, right? We can analyze our choices using surplus. If we were going deeper in microeconomics, that's one of the questions that we would look at would be like, well, what do we do about pollution? We might touch on that a little bit in macro, but in micro, you'd go more in depth. What would we do about pollution? And, is this better or worse for society? Let's say we want to do something to try to stop a monopoly, right? Is this better or worse for society? Well, we're going to, again, look at surplus. Does this increase total surplus or does this decrease total surplus? So that's kind of what surplus, in this unit, we went through what surplus is, but it's a tool that can allow us to help us to make kind of market-based choices, which you'll see in the next section. All right. Have a good one, guys.